Few figures in American history embody courage, sacrifice, and moral conviction like Harriet Tubman. Born into slavery, yet destined to become one of the most fearless freedom fighters of the 19th century, Tubman transformed her own escape into a lifelong mission to liberate others. Often called the Moses of her people, Tubman guided enslaved men, women, and children through one of the most dangerous resistance networks in American history, the Underground Railroad. Her bravery, intelligence, and unwavering faith helped hundreds escape the brutality of slavery. But Tubman's story extends far beyond her role as a conductor. She was also a Civil War scout, a spy, a nurse, and later a powerful advocate for civil rights and women's suffrage. Her life represents not just a personal triumph over oppression, but a revolutionary commitment to justice that helped reshape the moral direction of a nation. This is the story of Harriet Tubman, from bondage to heroism, and of the secret pathways to freedom that changed the course of American history. Early life, from enslavement to defiance. Harriet Tubman was born Araminta Minty Ross, around 1,822 inches, Dorchester County, Maryland. Her exact birth date was never recorded, a harsh reminder of how enslaved people were denied even the basic recognition of identity. She was one of 9 children born to Harriet Green and Ben Ross. Both parents were enslaved by different owners, a common reality that meant families could be separated at any moment. Tubman's childhood was marked by constant hardship. From a young age, she was hired out to other households where she endured brutal punishments for the smallest mistakes. She worked long hours caring for children, trapping animals, hauling timber, and laboring in the fields. Violence was an everyday part of her life. One of the most defining moments occurred when Tubman was only about 13 years old. While working in a general store, an overseer attempted to stop another enslaved man who was trying to escape. When the man resisted, the overseer hurled a 2-pound iron weight toward him. The object missed its intended target and struck Tubman directly in the head. The injury nearly killed her. She suffered seizures, chronic headaches, and sudden sleep episodes for the rest of her life. Yet from this trauma also emerged something Tubman would later describe as spiritual visions, dreams, and revelations she believed were messages from God guiding her path. Her deep religious faith became the foundation of her strength. Despite her suffering, Tubman refused to accept slavery as her destiny. Escape to freedom. In 1844, Minty Ross married a free black man named John Tubman. After the marriage, she adopted her mother's name, Harriet. But marriage to a free man did not change her legal status. Harriet remained enslaved, and the fear of being sold to plantations in the Deep South loomed constantly. In 1849, that fear became reality. Tubman learned that her enslaver was planning to sell her and several members of her family. Such sales often meant permanent separation and harsher conditions on cotton or sugar plantations. Faced with the prospect of losing everything, Tubman made a life-altering decision. She would escape. Under the cover of darkness, she fled northward. Traveling mostly at night and guided by the North Star, she walked nearly 90 miles through forests, marshes, and unfamiliar roads. The journey was incredibly dangerous. Slave catchers, patrols, and bounty hunters were constantly searching for fugitives. But Tubman persisted. When she finally reached Philadelphia, she experienced freedom for the first time. Later, she recalled the moment vividly, saying she looked at her hands and felt like she was in heaven. Yet freedom did not bring peace. Tubman could not forget the loved ones she had left behind. The Underground Railroad, a lifeline to freedom. Rather than remain safely in the North, Tubman made a decision that would define her legacy. She returned to the South. The Underground Railroad was not an actual railroad. It was a secret network of routes, safe houses, and individuals dedicated to helping enslaved people escape. Conductors guided fugitives from one safe location to another, often traveling at night and hiding during the day. Harriet Tubman soon became the most legendary conductor in the system. She relied on coded songs, secret signals, and trusted allies, many of them Quakers, abolitionists, and free black communities. Every journey was dangerous. Slave catchers carried wanted posters with rewards for escaped slaves, and Tubman herself became one of the most wanted fugitives in the South. Some reports claim that rewards for her capture reached tens of thousands of dollars. Still, she continued. Tubman carried a pistol not only for protection but to ensure that frightened escapees would not turn back and reveal their route. If someone tried to return, the entire group could be captured or killed. Her leadership required discipline, courage, and quick thinking. Over roughly a decade, Tubman made at least 13 rescue missions into slave states. She personally led about 70 people to freedom and helped coordinate the escape of many more. Remarkably, she once proudly declared that she had never run her train off the track and never lost a passenger. Civil War contributions. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, Tubman saw an opportunity to expand the fight against slavery. She joined Union forces working in the South, serving as a nurse, cook, scout, and spy. Her knowledge of Southern geography and local communities proved invaluable to Union commanders. In 1863, Tubman made history. Working alongside Colonel James Montgomery, she helped plan and lead the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina. Tubman guided Union gunboats through Confederate territory using intelligence gathered from enslaved people in the region. The raid destroyed plantations, crippled Confederate supply lines, and liberated more than 700 enslaved men, women, and children. It was a stunning victory. Tubman became the first woman in American history to lead a military expedition during wartime. Despite this remarkable achievement, she faced discrimination even from those she served. For years, she struggled to receive payment or recognition for her work with the Union Army. Post-war activism and advocacy. After the Civil War ended, Tubman settled in Auburn, New York. The land had been purchased from abolitionist Senator William H. Seward. There, Tubman created a home that became a refuge for formerly enslaved people and those struggling to rebuild their lives. Her activism continued. Tubman became involved in the women's suffrage movement, advocating for the right of women to vote. She shared platforms with prominent leaders such as Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Tubman often emphasized that the fight for racial equality and the fight for women's rights were deeply connected. Despite her fame, she lived modestly and often struggled financially. The government delayed recognizing her wartime contributions, and it took decades before she received even a small pension. Yet, she never stopped helping others. In 1908, Tubman established the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged, providing shelter and care for elderly African Americans who had nowhere else to go. In a touching turn of fate, Tubman eventually became a resident of the very home she founded. Legacy and recognition. Harriet Tubman died on the 10th of March 1913, surrounded by family and friends. She was buried with military honors in Auburn, New York. Over time, her story grew into legend. Today, she is remembered as one of the greatest freedom fighters in American history. Her life has inspired books, films, museums, and monuments across the country. In 2016, the U.S. Treasury announced plans to place Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, making her the first African-American woman ever chosen for American paper currency. Though the redesign has faced delays, the decision reflects her lasting influence on the nation. Conclusion. Harriet Tubman's life was defined by courage. She escaped slavery, but refused to abandon those still trapped within it. She risked her life repeatedly, navigating darkness, danger, and betrayal to guide others toward freedom. She served her country in war, cared for the vulnerable in peace, and continued fighting for justice until the end of her life. Tubman proved that one determined individual can challenge an unjust system and ignite a movement for change. Her legacy continues to inspire generations. Because Harriet Tubman did more than escape slavery. She led a revolution of freedom.